Hey guys, what's going on? You know, when I'm at Expo, yeah, I'm not at Expo. You know I'm at Schoolie Palooza. But believe it or not, there's basically an expedition vehicle sitting here at Schoolie. He pulled in. This is Joe.
How's it going?
And I just had to come over, show you guys this thing, let you see what it looks like, and talk about this rig. And he built it, and he did something really cool that we're going to show you later and give you some really great idea, like kind of DIY style. But Joe, what the heck are we looking at?
Yeah, so this is a 1998 Stewart & Stevenson that we actually purchased from a guy that originally bought it at auction.
Okay.
We have completely modernized the whole thing, so a lot of times when you buy these vehicles, they are pretty robust. There's, you know, not a whole lot of, I would say, amenities to it, like AC.
Yeah.
Sometimes the heat is like, you know, hit or miss, things like that. So we completely went through the whole cab, put AC in it. We soundproofed everything, so that way when you're going down the highway, especially now, we're able to achieve 75, 80 miles an hour. Before that was super, super loud. Now it's super quiet on the inside.
Right,
so
okay.
you're just cruising and you're all good. So a couple other things, you know, we added air ride to the cab just to make sure it's a lot smoother ride going down the road, because I'm sure as you can kind of see, these things are huge and they like to hit every bump on the road. But
for sure,
now with that, you don't have to really worry about it. So to go into further on the build is that's an old ambulance box that we use. So when we bought the truck,
this is what I was talking about. When he told me this, I was like, what? What a great idea.
Right. So when we bought the truck, we had the idea of making it into an Overlander, but we didn't quite know, like, hey, should we get a Habitat that's pre-made, or should I find something? The first one that we actually ever saw was a guy just basically mounted an RV to the back of it. But then just through all the research and everything, I found that, you know, ambulance boxes are roll tested. They're built like no other. So that was a really big feature for us. And, you know, so what we did is, I can show you some pictures, and we pretty much tore the whole thing apart. We got rid of all the wiring. We got rid of a lot of the dividing walls, a lot of the compartments, to open up our living space on the inside, because this is only 14 feet.
Okay.
So we really wanted to maximize everything we possibly could. We did have the idea of going on the road full-time. We've been full-time for 7 months now with me, my wife, and our little one.
Yeah, a new addition.
A new addition, yep.
Okay.
And so basically this floor plan is what, you know, kind of helped us achieve that, and then still be very comfortable. So one of the biggest things, so kind of what gave us our start, was we do a lot of Jeep trail riding, and then we got into camping with the rooftop tent, and then we kind of really started thinking, like, man, how cool would it be to be able to camp at some of these spots that takes an off-road vehicle to get to? And so basically that's where this whole idea came about, was to create a RV that can take us a little bit of anywhere and have a lot of the same capabilities of what this Jeep does.
Nice.
A neat thing is a lot of people think it's very top heavy. The chassis itself is about 19,000 pounds, and the box is only about 3,500 pounds. So honestly, when it comes to our tilt, things like that, we don't feel a lot of movement side to side.
Nice.
So we've really been able to do a lot of trails just like what this thing can do. These trucks also have what they call CTIS, which is a central tire inflation system, which allows you to air down on the trail, air back up when you need to, things like that. So that's been a huge help. Especially
do you find yourself airing down much with that big of tires?
Honestly, no. The only time that I did need to air down is I got a little too venturous on some dunes.
Yep, sand.
And I
We've
just
all been there.
Yeah, could not. I got down to the bottom of the hill super easy, but then when I needed to come back up to the top of it, it was getting a little stuck. And as soon as I aired down, I was just right out of there. So pretty
makes
cool.
Sense.
These trucks are also all-time four-wheel drive, which is great. You know, so going through mountain passes that are snowy, things like that, that was a big help for us. And then they do come with, so it's Allison 7-speed transmission, but it has a mode section that allows you to go to granny gear, which will give it 50-50 on each axle.
Nice.
So versus currently it's 75 and then 25 in the front.
Okay.
We did a lot of regearing on this unit too, so it does have 307s in the axles now, which at first allowed us to get up to about 65 miles per hour.
Okay.
at that, it still wasn't quite enough, like on the highway, to have any kind of passing speed or things like that. So a new company came out, and they call it Eco Hub. So basically, you take out the planetary, and it makes it into a direct drive unit.
Okay.
And that allows us to honestly go up to 85 miles an hour if we need to. And then we are achieving like anywhere from 10 to 11 miles to a gallon currently.
Oh, wow.
So that was a really, really big help. And some other cool things is, this truck having a big Caterpillar motor. It's got the power to, of course, propel itself down the road, but then also we do flat tow this Jeep behind it. So just to be able to have an extra vehicle has been, super nice. If we get up to a really cool camp, spot that took us a couple hours to get to, we have a vehicle that can get down it a little faster, go into town and do a couple other things.
No doubt.
I
was telling you guys, this is Schoolie Palooza, right? And yeah, there's a lot of buses here and stuff like that, but if you notice, they do things bigger in Texas.
That's right.
No doubt.
That's right. So as we, did mount this ambulance box onto this, we did have to build a subframe, because a lot of the reading I did on these vehicles is there is a lot of frame flex that is allowed for the off-road capabilities, but in some scenarios you would see almost 6 inches of frame flex as you're going up and down terrain. And so we had to create a subframe that allowed the box not to, take all that strain.
So you have a subframe on the frame of the vehicle, so that are you using like a spring torsion system?
Yep, spring torsion system. So basically, it's able to spring up on any which corner that it's needed to. And we've been on some crazy trails. If you look at our Instagram page, it's JH Adventure RV.
Perfect. Okay.
You're able to see kind of some of the places that we've been, and it's been super cool to actually see it get out there. But our goal was to, design this thing and hopefully be able to sell more to the public in the future. I have an RV background, and I was in the RV business for 14 years.
Yeah.
And
Very cool.
And just really love this. Is a passion of mine to be able to do this kind of stuff. And we built this rig for that, to be able to get off the beaten path, and then be able to have all the amenities that you want. So this one has a full solar system that actually runs everything consistently. You'll never run out of battery as long as you get some sun every now and again. So that was a big thing. But
what solar? Well, what is your capacity?
So we have 1,300 amp hour batteries, so 1,300 amp hours worth of batteries. They're all Battle-Born batteries. That is one of those things that we kind of had to test throughout time. We originally started our battery bank with about 600 amp hours worth of batteries, and it just wasn't quite enough. We wouldn't make it through the whole night running AC full blast, especially Texas weather, 100 degrees. It's freaking, that thing is working, so that was a big thing. We just kind of kept adding consistently until we finally got to a point that it was finally, we never had to run out again. So
and this has really helped you to test it, to know what is going to work for someone when they go out. When you find out what their needs are, you can build it based on what their needs are going to be and have them set up.
Yes sir, yes sir.
One of the cool things we were talking about too is, because I'm a DIYer, as you guys know, with my rig, and this is kind of this is like kind of a DIY setup because of the fact that he's built it the way that he has. But we were talking about all the things he had to do to bring this thing up to spec, to where you would want to travel in it with your family and feel safe out in the middle of nowhere. And the cost and the time that it takes to do something like that versus being able to hit up someone like Joe here that's already done the R&D, and can give you a nice vehicle at a reasonable price as far as this type of vehicle goes, if you're looking for them, because they are pricey.
Yes sir, yes sir.
And he's trying to meet that middle niche in the market. So check him out for sure and see what he's got.
Yeah, heck yeah. So I don't know if we got to kind of see in the cab. I apologize,
let's take a look
guys.
at the cab, because that's
again, we are living in this thing and been about 7 months, so it does need a little bit of a cleanup, but we did modernize it, so everything's been soundproofed. We went through, replaced all the panels with these nice leather panels, replaced the seats, put AC, and then an awesome stereo system. So,
Fosgate, baby.
We did do a roof rack too, which is pretty cool. Just originally that was our deck, so we'd set our lawn chairs up there and chill for the evening. But as this trip was planned, we're like, hey, we want to bring some more things, so we found these military boxes that are basically don't allow things to mold. They have a pressure release.
Yeah,
so,
I know those. I've got a small one.
Oh, nice. We love it. But we have our inflatable kayaks in there. We have some inflatable paddle boards, some camping gear, things like that. But that roof rack is capable of holding it. And then also our 2 bikes mount up there.
Oh, very nice. You can see the mount right there for it. Heck yeah.
Yeah, so a couple other things that we had done is I got lucky. I met a gentleman that specialized in these trucks, and he had actually worked with Fox to design a shock that was really meant for this type of vehicle and this kind of weight and things like that. So it does have all Fox shocks all the way around, and that was a huge upgrade for us, especially hitting the off-road.
Yeah.
Originally, it was super bouncy, and you would kind of get to where you start to sway and it get a little uncomfortable. But with this, it doesn't do it at all.
Heck yeah.
And then also
Very
just
cool.
Cornering and hitting turns at a faster speed. It's one of those things. It's crazy what a shock will do for you.
Yeah.
Oh
so. Yeah. Yes, sir. And I always tell people, when you're building a rig, put your money in the suspension if you're going to be using it off road, because it's gonna keep the rest of this thing together as much as it can.
So if you want to stay on the outside, and then we'll go inside, we'll do that. So on the front, we did do quite a bit of just lights because, again, we do a lot of trail riding. So we did. I want to say, I forget the brand of these, but
Rigids?
Rough Country.
Rough Country. Okay.
So they've been great lights. Everything's held up really good. And then when you get out there at nighttime, you hit them babies, it brights up everything.
Oh, yeah.
Coming to this side, this is kind of where we keep everything as far as on the mechanical side. So in the scenario that I ever need to work on anything on the plumbing or electrical, it's all in these compartments. So that was one of the cool things, the ambulance boxes. Not only are they built like no other, they have these compartments that you can kind of utilize to whatever you need. So this is our solar system here, part of it.
Yeah, that worked out really nice. Very clean.
And then we wanted to maximize on our solar on the roof, and sometimes it's hard if you're trying to use all the same panels. So we did with 3 different panels, which led to having to do 3 different solar arrays.
Yeah.
But with doing that, that's what's really achieved to let us really use everything.
So
off
you've
the
ran
solar.
3 different solar charge controllers.
Right.
But everything ties into the
same
batteries
system.
all together.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And then this kind of comes from more of the RV world, but just keeping everything in here. So all your main breakers and fuses for your 12-volt system. And just keeps it easy. So on these trucks, this is all the air system, and then the batteries. This is a backup generator. Knock on wood, we really just have never had to use that. We even went into Oregon and Washington thinking that, hey, it's going to be a lot cloudier here. We won't get near as much solar charge. And sadly, that thing's just been put in there and never used.
Wow. Nice for redundancy, though.
So that door there is where we just kind of access some of our shower fittings in this area if I ever need to tighten one up.
Okay.
On the water system, we did kind of overbuild, and what I mean by that is, coming from the RV industry, a lot of times you would have small water leaks, and what would happen is you have to shut off your whole system. You'd have to basically just quit using water for the weekend. And with this, we're able to, say if we spring a leak on our cold water on the kitchen sink, we're able to come here and basically just turn off the cold water on the kitchen sink and then let everything still run properly.
Somebody who knows.
Appreciate it. So that was a big thing. On-demand hot water heater. Yeah. That is an awesome thing to have. My wife and myself still love long showers, and this thing, we have quite a bit of water capacity.
Yeah. What is your water capacity?
So we have a 100-gallon hard tank, and then we have a 60-gallon bladder that we can put in the back underneath our little garage space that can connect into those systems, so we can bring 160 gallons with us if we want to.
Gotcha.
And we only usually do that if we know that we're going to be away from town. If we found a spot that we absolutely just fell in love with, and we know we're going to be out there for 2 weeks, that's when we'll fill up that extra bladder.
Gotcha. Okay.
And those things are just so useful. And even sometimes we'll just put the bladder in the Jeep and then pump it in if we need to, if we ever do get close to running low.
Nice.
But we also went completely full shore power RV hookup. So we do quite a bit of things, or I would say every 2 weeks we go into an RV park to use maybe their facilities as far as the washer dryer, things like that.
It's getting off the road, you recoup a little bit. I mean, you built that nice house.
I appreciate it.
But yeah,
so 30 amp hookup, city water hookup as well, and then we actually put a lock on our fresh water. That way, I guess just nobody can ever tamper with it, or nothing can get in there, all that good stuff. A big thing for us was outside showers. It's crazy how much you actually use it, but we have one on each side.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So
you can also clean the bikes or whatever else you've got. Yeah.
And it's huge, And for the other side, that's really where we use it most times. You can just rinse off your feet or your steps, things like that. So that was a big help.
Yeah.
Full walkable roof, so you can get up there. These things are built like a tank with all aluminum structure.
Very cool.
With this one, we did go complete solar on the roof, so there is a small walkable space, but really right now we have this mountable case, which we keep all of our winter clothes and things
Okay.
like that.
Gotcha.
We did do Starlink and WeBoost, so when you're out there, you're able to, you know, still stay connected to the world, you know, and still watch some
absolutely.
TV. I love my Netflix.
Let's take a look at the inside.
Yeah, for sure.
When I say come to the inside, there's several ways you can get to the inside of this thing.
Right.
But this is pretty cool. Let's talk about this
Yep.
setup that you did here.
Yeah, so really neat feature with the ambulances again was all these compartments, but originally this ambulance had a big divider wall here that separated everything, and this was just all compartment space, but we decided to make it more of the living space, so we put a huge booth that this actually goes down and makes into a full-size bed. And then another neat thing was just when we're sitting here eating, we're able to have a really cool view, you know, so.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I saw that and I was like, that is such a smart idea.
And then these Laguna tables are just so awesome and
I have
multi-purpose.
one. Yep.
That thing will lift up. We'll actually have more counter space when we need it.
Yep.
So that was a big thing. And then just creature comforts. And again, I follow. It's, you know, we're living in this thing, so we got some stuff a little bit of everywhere currently. But we do have a fireplace.
Oh wow, I didn't see
Yeah.
that earlier. Okay.
So those actually provide pretty good heat when you want it to, or just ambiance lighting, which was a big thing.
Yeah.
They don't take up a lot of space.
And it's just gas, right?
So that's actually complete electric.
Oh wow.
Yep, so it
Okay.
runs off electric. So we have that. We also have our mini split unit, has a heat pump in it, and then we
Yeah.
have a diesel heater for the inside.
Okay.
The diesel heater, if we know that, you know, which originally we put that in, we had a smaller battery bank. And that diesel heater hardly pulls any power, which was awesome, so we were able to heat the unit without having to use much diesel.
Okay.
And then now that we have such a big power bank, we're able to use our heat pump, which is all electric, and not have to factor any of our diesel coming out.
Gotcha.
You know, so
Okay.
big thing there. Apartment style fridge, so it's 12 cubic foot, so just enough. Still got a freezer. We have our little outside refrigerator too, which is something that definitely helps.
Yeah.
And then we left a lot of space underneath the bed. That way, if you had a chest, like a chest freezer or things like that, you wanted to put underneath,
Yep.
you have it. And then bathroom was a big thing for my wife, because I told her, I was like, hey, we're gonna have to kind of sacrifice a little bit and have an all-in-one bathroom, and so we made it as functional as possible. So it does have a rainfall shower. You got the little body
man,
sprayers.
look at that.
You still have the little handheld one as well. And then we went full RV toilets. So
Okay.
I'm just a big fan of having the whole tank system and everything.
Yeah, okay.
The neat thing is, so this one has right about a 60-gallon Blackwater tank.
Okay.
What that's allowed us to do is honestly be out there for 2 weeks without having to worry about dumping it.
Right.
And then whenever we come into an RV park, we dump it, and we're usually good to go. You
Yeah,
know,
okay.
so right. And
Yeah.
that's a big thing. You know, so like, we really wanted to make sure there was a lot of capacity there, and the fact, and we always knew that, hey, we got to come back within 2 weeks.
Yep.
And that's why we chose to go with that 60-gallon tank.
Nice.
But yeah, everything too. So we have like a tank heating system. So all over here, basically, we have tank heaters. We have live monitoring system that shows us where our black tank's at, where our gray
Yeah.
tank's at, where our freshwater tank's at, all that good stuff. So all
Again,
that's
coming
been-
from the RV industry
Yeah.
and knowing what he needs.
Yeah, so that's all been wired in. And that's just such a huge help, just to really kind of tell you where you're at. Our original rig that we did have, we were always kind of guessing, like, oh man, are we a third? Are we 2/3? Are we there? And I'm a magnet freak, so I love magnets, and we actually ran out of space, so we had to use the outside one, and now we're using the inside the cab.
That's cool.
But we've been on the road for about 7 months now, and
you've been to all these places.
yeah, been to all these places. This is kind of a really cool map of just everything where we stopped along this trip, and it's been great. We've been to majority of all the national parks in the West, and then a lot of the OHV areas that are really cool. A lot of people go to. Moab was so awesome. I can't wait to go back one day. And as far as for kitchen, a smaller kitchen, but we did make it functional. So this actually has an induction cooktop that pulls out. Apologize, it's a little dirty, but that way it's still fully functional. Runs still everything off of solar. And then the neat thing with these is they're always cool to the touch. As soon as you're done using them, they cool down to the touch, so you
Right,
never have to
you're
worry
not-
about it heating nothing up over there.
And with children, that's another
Right.
real positive.
Right.
So you've done all the woodwork, everything in here. So you pretty much gutted your ambulance.
Completely.
So you ended up with a shell.
That's right. And
Okay.
And one of the big things with that is, like, a lot of times you get an ambulance, they kind of have that smell of medicine.
Yeah. Okay.
And what we had to do was basically take out the insulation. We took out all the plywood
wow.
that was with it. We completely took this thing down to bare aluminum, acid washed it, and then started completely brand new.
Gotcha.
And that's been the neat thing, is it's just truly been an awesome box, just because these doors, like, we're on the California coast for about a month, and just to be able to open these up, sit here and watch all the waves kind of crash in, it was just so cool.
No doubt. Yeah, that's some view. And then you even got this view here, so you got both of those going.
Right. And then the back one too, epic. You have those two back doors that open up as well. That way you can use that while you're sleeping on the bed.
And then you have the storage underneath that you can access from the back there.
Right.
Okay.
And we did all the Samsung frame TVs, so these things are pretty cool. They only stick out about an inch from the wall.
Yeah.
And so very minimal, doesn't take up a lot of space. Allowed us to have storage here too, so these things will lift up, and we keep a bunch of our clothes in there, and things like that. And then this is considered a extra large full, so it's the same length as a queen. It's just 4 inches not as wide as a queen.
Oh, okay.
But it fits the space perfectly, and it's what
it does.
Me, my wife, and our little one sleep on it, and it's been just plenty.
Yeah.
And we have blackout shades too, so that way at nighttime you're able to pull those puppies down and black out everything.
Okay.
So that's a big thing. And all the compartments actually have like push locks, so basically they can't come open in transportation, because that's a big thing. Especially
so
when
I
on
don't
some of
see
the trails.
push locks on there. So
yeah,
why
so,
how are those push locks?
So right here is
Okay.
what it basically does. So they just, as soon as they go in, they catch, and then you have to basically push it.
So they don't
to
actually
release.
have the button; they just push.
Yep.
Oh,
so
nice.
then right there you have it's got some resistance.
Gotcha.
And we did the same thing on all the drawers and things like that.
Okay.
We're gonna, when we get home, and get this one ready to sell, we're gonna do quite a few upgrades to all the cabinetry. I don't know if you've ever seen a company called Earthroamer.
Yep.
But their cabinets are just so awesome. They inspired me to want to do that. So we're gonna go in and make sure everything's like where you can fit in all the plates and look nice. And use all that nice walnut wood and things like that. And I think that's what really kind of pushed this one over the edge, is having those interior cabinets really nice.
Gotcha.
So,
okay. Cool. And your next one's gonna be a little bit bigger.
Yep. So we're gonna go just with having the little one, and if we decide to expand anymore, we want to do the 6x6 version, and that's gonna be the one that we're gonna keep to be able to show our future customers that hey, this is what they can look like. This is what you can change, things like that. And our whole goal is just to be, a lot of the manufacturers of these in the market, these things they're $500,000 plus. We're going to be so much lower than that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And that's our thing to achieve. And the vehicles too, just making sure you're getting a really good vehicle.
Yeah.
Because that was a learning curve for me. Going through this one, we just had to go through pretty much the whole entire motor, the transmission, and the brakes were one of the biggest things. Because these things, they sometimes sit at a military yard for years and years before somebody finally decides to pick one up.
Yeah. And although you could just throw an ambulance box on one and throw a couple things in there and call it good, you're in the middle of nowhere and something happens to this thing, that's a big tow bill.
Right.
So
right.
much better to have somebody else go through it for you, make sure that it's ready, it's dialed, and you're ready to take your family on an adventure.
Yep, that's right.
That's pretty cool.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where you guys go with this. That's really neat.
Yeah, and it's neat, again, like if you check out our Instagram page, just some of the campsites that we've been able to go to has just been so awesome. Just this thing's able to truly kind of climb over rocks and be able to do everything you want to, and just like you were in a Jeep, or if you had something with a rooftop tent, those places you go camp, you can take this thing there.
Makes sense.
Total height is only 12 feet 6 inches. That's the top of our WeBoost antenna.
Wow.
So we're still nowhere near the height of a big fifth wheel.
Yeah.
So you don't really have to worry
even
about bridges.
with those big tires.
Yeah, right. And so that was something cool, because you see it from the outside and it looks so huge, in person, and but honestly, when the height is just perfect, you know. So that was a big thing, and on this one, we're still going to do quite a few things just before we get ready to sell it, just to make it, even that much more over the top.
Yeah.
But
okay.
Everything's real wood, so that was a big thing. Just having really nice, high quality. All the shiplap's real wood. It's not just the panel wood. It's all real. And it's a lot of the nice household stuff. On the plumbing system, we did do all like PEX water lines, so PEX are rated at like -5 degrees on temperature. They can expand, which was nice. So we've been through a lot of big freezes, and knocking wood, all of our PEX has really held up strong, So We did all the metal copper fittings, you know, instead of the little plastic fittings.
Yeah.
So just to really make sure that this thing's gonna hold up.
He would take his own family and go to all these places. He wants you to be able to take yours.
Yeah, that's right.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, and that was the whole hope for this trip. You know, that was always a dream of ours to go travel.
Yeah.
And it just made it so much better to be in a rig that we designed and things
no
like
doubt.
that. But being out here and seeing really what it can do and travel to has really got us wanting to kind of push more of them out there.
Yeah. How many people would you say have come by and like wanted to look at this thing, and you've like how many times have you showed this thing while you've been here for 2 days? I think,
for 2 days.
All you've been here.
At least I've probably been close to 50, 60 people.
Yeah. Insane. I'm more than me. It's like, what the heck? Who invited this guy?
And it's a fun vehicle. It's kind of hard. You go to gas stations, it's hard to get out of there in less than 15 minutes because you will have some people come up to you. But again, it's just such a cool vehicle to be able to use and go have fun with and put it to work. When we originally built it, and if you look back at our page, it was truly like almost like a show vehicle. It's like Pavement Princess, and we had everything just absolutely perfect and tuned. And now that we've been on the trails for so long, it needs a little bit of love, you know. We got to touch up our paint and stuff, but nothing too bad, you know. But it's been a blast.
Very cool, man.
Yes, sir,
Heck yeah,
appreciate
Joe.
it.
Well, man, thank you for showing us this thing. And like I said, if you guys are interested, get in touch with them and basically build a suit, right?
Yep, we can do it all. So this one we're gonna kind of sell first, but if you have one in the future, or even my kind of thought was to help with other builds. So we've built a couple other things before this.
Okay.
And one of the, I don't know if this will work, but bringing the person that wants it built into actually building it, that way they kind of know more about what they have, things like that. For me, it's just such a big thing to know, like, hey, I have a wire that's running right here, and if I wanted to decide to put a hook there, I know not to put that hook there. Or if anything ever does break, and these things are truly houses on wheels, they're gonna have some small issues here and there. But if you know just a small fraction of how to build it or how to fix it, you'll love it. You know, you never have to be relying on the service department or things like that. So that's kind of the hope with our business models, to help our fellow Conrads out here that are loving this nomadic lifestyle, and also hopefully build a few of these in the process.